Hi everyone, I'm Roger Stevens and welcome to a famous poet, a poem and a workshop. Okay, this is the fourth in a series of 5 short videos that I've made for National Poetry Day in 2021. Of course, you can watch this anytime. You don't have to watch it on National Poetry Day or in National Poetry Day week, or even in 2021. You can watch this in 2022 or 2023 or any year. It's up to you. So today, Rachel Rooney is our poet. Now, I've known Rachel Rooney quite a long time. She lives in Brighton, the same as I do. I know she visits schools. She writes absolutely brilliant poems. They're so good, she's won prizes for her poems. Her first book, The Language of Cat, won the Clipper Award, which is a very prestigious poetry award, and was shortlisted for the Carnegie Medal. That's how good that book was. And her last book, A Kid in Our Class, won the, I'll just get this right, won the NST Book Award. And A Kid in Our Class, we're going to be reading a poem from that book. And she now has a new book out for teenagers called Hey Girl. So you do need to check her out. So I'm just going to read a little bit of one of the poems from A Kid in Our Class. Now, what she did, she thought, well, it would be a good idea to write a book of poems, and every poem in the book will be about a different child in a class, okay? And she's based it on children that she knew when she was at school, and I guess on children that she's met as she's been into schools, visiting schools and working in schools, doing different things. So, a great idea for a book. Every child in the class gets a poem. So you've got the child who's good at football, you've got the child who's a poet. Every kind of child you can think of is represented in that class. So I'm going to read Tips for the New Boy. Now, this poem isn't really about the new boy. It's about the person giving the new boy some tips, really, as you'll see. Not all the tips are necessarily, well, very nice, really. Quite funny, I guess. But, you know, if you have a new boy or a new girl come into your class, you have to look after her, don't you? Be kind. Because when you go into a new school and into a new class and you probably don't know the other people there, it's a bit bewildering, can be a bit scary too, and it's a bit nerve-wracking. So I think the person giving the new boy these tips is a bit mean, really. So see what you think. I'm not going to read all of the poem because at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a link. The link will take you to the CLPE website. Now, on that website, your teacher probably knows all about it. You'll find lots of information about Rachel and about lots of other poets too. Lots and lots of poems on that site. It's a brilliant, brilliant resource. But you will see Rachel reading all of this poem. So you will see Rachel Rooney reading the poem herself. So I'm just going to read a part of it, but I'll give you the idea. Tips for the New Boy by Rachel Rooney. The playground is built on top of a graveyard. Press your ear to the tarmac and you'll hear the undead scratching on their coffin lids. Once we caught the school cook sneezing into the tomato sauce as she was stirring it. Never choose the pizza option. Our teacher has a morbid fear of frogs. Yeah, don't mention them. Always clear your throat before entering the classroom. We are allowed to draw on the cover of our learning journal. On Fridays, we always bring in a box of gummy bears to share with our friends. Don't believe everything you've been told. Only one of these statements is true. There we go. Okay, perhaps the person telling the new boy all those things wasn't so mean. Perhaps he sort of said, hey, look, I was just having a laugh. That's not true. Well, one of those things is true. So we're going to write a poem. We're going to write a poem about someone in our class. That's what we're going to do. And we're all going to write about the same person. There's one person that is in everybody's class. Who could that person be in everybody's class? Yes, you guessed it. We're going to write a poem about our teacher. Yay! So you will need a sheet of paper. You will need a pen or a pencil to write on the paper with, or a notebook if you've got a notebook. If you've watched the other videos previous to this, you might know how important a notebook is, and you may even have got yourself a notebook, especially if you like writing poems and stories. A notebook it's an invaluable thing, isn't it? You need a notebook. You never know, do you, when you're going to hear something, see something, and you've got your notebook. Look, it's all a bit untidy and a bit of a mess. Doesn't matter. Just going to jot it down before I forget it, because I forget things. So there you go. So get yourself organised. Get yourself paper, some pencil, pens. If you haven't got those things already, you can pause the video now while you get yourself organised, and then off we will go. Okay, so we're going to write a poem about our teacher. And I thought it would be fun to imagine what our teacher gets up to when she goes on holiday. Okay, teacher on holiday. What does she do, or what does he do? You might have an idea what your teacher does. Maybe your teacher's got a hobby. Maybe your teacher is your mum or your dad, and then you know because you're on holiday at the same time. I don't know. So we don't really know what our teacher does when he or she goes on holiday. So we're going to have to make a guess. We're going to have to use our imaginations because it's a poem. We can make stuff up, right? Yeah. So I've started making a list a bit earlier on, look, and it's just rough on the paper. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy because this is just a list. It's a list of ideas that we can use as the basis for our poem. So you don't have to worry about spellings. You can think about that afterwards. Spellings are important, but right now, getting ideas down as fast as we can. So I've got sit on a beach, eat an ice cream, visit a castle, go shopping, go bird watching. And then I thought, wow, some of those things are a bit boring, aren't they? I mean, we all sit on the beach, don't we, on the holiday if we go to the seaside. So maybe I could think of some crazier ideas. I've got our teacher goes white water rafting, yeah, or parachute jumping. Can you imagine your teacher jumping from a plane, free falling, and then parachuting down, visiting the moon. On holiday, our teacher visits the moon, hitches a ride on an eagle, crosses the desert on a lion. You have fun with this. You can be quite outrageous, really. Just anything you can think of. Just really go crazy. Now, what I'm going to suggest you do is pause this video again, but not for too long. I'm going to give you just 3 minutes so your teacher can time you. See how many things you can write in 3 minutes. See if you can write 10 different things in 3 minutes. Now, if you're good at writing, you probably can do that, can't you? Just get them written down fast as you can. It might take a little bit longer if your writing's not quite so brilliant. You can get a bit of help with actually doing the writing bit if you need it, because the important thing are the ideas, getting the ideas down. So your teacher or a teaching assistant or somebody could actually help you write the things down in the list. That's fine, as long as they're your ideas, because that's the important thing. Okay, so I'm just going to give you 3 minutes. You're going to come up with a list like that with as many things, crazy, wild things as you can. Things your teacher might do on holiday. Okay, off you go. Okay, so you should have a list. This list is the basis of your poem, as I've said, and this is my list. Sits on the beach, eats an ice cream, visits a castle, goes shopping, goes bird watching, whitewater rafting. Now, the thing is, in itself, those are just notes, they are the list, but you use this to fashion your poem. So the first thing you can do is you can maybe cross out any that aren't very good or that are a bit boring. So sit on the beach is a bit boring, go shopping's a bit boring. I've just crossed them out, right? Because I'm not going to have them in my final poem. You might think of other things. You might think, oh, I've just thought of something else. So you can add things in, like I've got visit the moon on the space shuttle. Visits the moon on the space shuttle. You can add things in. That's perfectly okay. Add more things in, and you can elaborate or expand on some of the things that you've got there. Eats an ice cream. I wonder what a favourite flavour of ice cream would be. Visits, you can add stuff in, cross stuff out, elaborate or expand on things. And then when you think you've got your list pretty much how you want it for your poem, then you can change the order, because maybe you should have like the most ordinary things first, and then as the poem progresses, save your very best, craziest thing for the end. So you end your poem on a good high note. You don't want to end it on something boring, because then everyone go, oh, well, the poem was good at the beginning, but got a bit boring at the end. So save your good stuff for the end, just like you would in a story. If you watch a program on the television and the ending's boring, you come away and you say, oh, it's a bit boring. But if the ending is really good, you don't worry about the beginning too much, do you? If the ending was good, oh, wow, that was fantastic. So you can change the order. You could think of a little introduction and a little bit at the end, just to sort of an intro and a little outro. That would be good. You could give your teacher a name, because maybe you don't want your actual teacher's name on your poem, do you? Maybe you could make a name up, maybe a funny name, have fun. So it could be something like this. In class, our teacher, Ms. Pringle, is very ordinary. But on holiday, she's a very different person. She jumps from planes and flies like Superwoman. She rides the space shuttle and goes to the moon. She hitches a ride from an eagle and soars around the tops of mountains. Okay? Have fun with it. Expand it. When you finish your poem and you've got all your ideas there, write your very best poem, and then you have to think about presentation. Obviously, has to be neat, has to look good, and your spellings. Your spellings have to be good as well. Check your spellings. And you could share this poem, obviously, with your teacher, maybe in assembly. That might be quite good if you have assemblies, or with another class, or you can send it to the Poetry Zone, and I will publish it and share it with thousands of people who come and watch the Poetry Zone, come and look at the Poetry Zone. Okay, so there's a link down here. Follow the link, and then you can see Rachel reading all of her poem. So Rachel Rooney, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you had a good time doing that. So finish off your poems, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.